In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you my secret formula for creating million-dollar products. Hi, my name's Gretta Van Riel, and over the last 9 years, I've created 4 multi-million-dollar e-commerce brands. So today I'm going to show you my secret formula for coming up with million-dollar product ideas. It's a pretty simple process, and it's something I talk about quite a lot, and it's the idea that in e-commerce, you don't need to come up with this crazy new product idea. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You simply need to create something different and better than the competition. So I've just been given these 5 products. I have absolutely no idea what they are. I'm going to get 2 minutes for each product, and I need to come up with a way in those 2 minutes, hopefully, to make them different and better using my process.
And your time starts with product number 1 now. Go.
Ooh, here we go. It's a baby bottle. So what I would do, the bottle, is I would start to think about how it's used and how we could, I guess, improve that use case or any pain points that could come up in that process. So I guess bottles would obviously be used for milk or formula. One of the big problems that I would see with that, I've actually thought of a bottle before. One of the big problems that I would think would be that if breast milk or formula has been refrigerated, it would be ice cold, and babies like to drink like room temperature to warm milk. So I would create a outer casing to the bottle, kind of like, what are those things called when you put like a beer in it? A stubby holder. So like a stubby holder for a bottle, but it's a self-warming stubby holder so that it like helps to warm the milk, and then you can just take it out, give it to the bub, and they're all happy. It's not a shock to their system. How long's that?
1 minute and 5.
Okay, go.
Ready? And product number 2 starts now.
Oh, we've got a razor. Here we go. Okay, so for a razor, I would think, again, it's from a pain point perspective. Like what we want to be doing is constantly solving pain points with existing products. We could, if we had time, I don't have time right now, we could go read some of the negative reviews and solve some of the main pain points. So obviously, razor pain point would be cutting yourself. So I would do a like much more intensive, like self-foaming head to the razor that you're able to, maybe like a cartridge on the back that replaced the foam to go into the razor. So it's like a 2-in-1 shaving foam and razor. And you put the cartridge onto the back, and they're refillable too. So you can refill the cartridge and the shaving foam comes out at the same time as you're shaving with the razor. Go on with this.
Like the brush that has a detergent in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Smart, okay.
3. Ooh, dog color. Okay, I know how I would change this straight away. So one of the, I guess, like key issues with owning a pet is, and like a large pain point would be, that sounds so impersonal, but a big pain point of owning a pet would be if you lost your pet, like in the park, for example. So even if, so I would think probably about doing maybe like a GPS collar, for example, so that you could track your dog on an app, like Find My Friend type of thing. And even maybe have like a beeping noise for if the dog is like just hiding in a bush or something. So that is what I would do for a dog collar. These are too easy.
I know. Next one.
4. Okay, we have a bike helmet. All right. So, I mean, a bike helmet, one of the major, obviously, pain points when you're riding a bike would obviously be lighting. So, I mean, I know that there's already like, I'm trying to think of a way to really differentiate it, because there's already like, reflective helmets and the like. as well. You could do, actually, one of the places that you lose like the most heat, and I know in winter, is through your head. So you could do almost like a self-warming bike helmet, which could, like, you know, when you don't really feel like going and working out in the morning, going for a big bike ride because it's like really cold in the morning still, you could do a helmet that's like nice and warm when you put it on. So kind of like when you're at the snow and you get those little things that you put into your ski boots or into your gloves to keep you warm, like hand warmers or foot warmers. It could be like a head warmer within the helmet. So either those could be like replaceable, kind of like those where you'd sell them with the helmet, like as an add-on, and that could be actually quite good too because they could be like more patch shaped as well, so they fit more snugly on the head. So that could be good because then it's like the helmet is one of the purchases, and then the recurring purchase is like the head warmers. So that would be kind of like when you buy an espresso machine and you have to keep buying the pods. So, and you'd obviously have like little pouches within the helmet that could fit perfectly into, because otherwise people would just use the pouches with any helmet. Oh, a skipping rope. Okay, I actually have thought of this one before, and it probably, like, it may exist in some form, but it's not that well advertised. I would do a smart skipping rope that was like technology enabled so that it counted your skips as you went as well. In fact, I definitely have seen one of those before, because there was this one that I saw on Instagram one time where when they skipped, it showed the count. It was kind of like a projector somehow, the skipping, like as you did it, it would be like 1, 2, 3, and it was like in front of them, unless that was just a really good render. But yeah, I would definitely do some sort of like smart enabled skipping rope, because obviously like exercise, and one of the big pain points with that would be like accountability and like self-improvement all the time. So you'd kind of want to be able to track or measure your success with the smart rope. So there we go.
Alright, so that's way too easy for you, so we're going to go back through the products that we just did, and you've got to find a completely new way to make them different.
Okay, so starting with our baby bottle, it's going to be a little harder round 2, because once you have kind of thought about how you differentiate something, it's really hard to get that thought out of your head. I guess you can start to think of some other things that are involved in breastfeeding as a whole versus bottle feeding too. So you could start to look into that space and look at other kind of complementary products or smart products. You could actually, similar to the thought with the skipping rope, you could have like a tracking app for how much your baby has drunk in a day that's kind of measured, so that then you can see what their kind of like daily versus like monthly intake of milk or formula would be, to see that you're like hitting the right targets for that. That could be quite a handy thing to know. So that was sort of my thought process around a different way that I would begin to differentiate the bottle. But what you guys could do is you could go away, have a bit more of a research, Google search around, like I guess just breastfeeding products as a whole, and ways in which you could either like combine 2 different sort of like technologies or products into one. Or, you'd be able to make improvements based off reading kind of some of the negative reviews of a lot of other bottles on the market, thinking about how to make it more portable, how to, like reduce some of like the pain points for the mum and the baby, of course, or the dad and the baby. Okay.
Good job.
Razor. All right, we've got our razor. Obviously, like a huge another trend is, of course, like sustainability. So you could do reusable razors where you just replace just the blades themselves rather than having to click the whole head off and replace that every time. They're becoming increasingly popular, but not every household, necessarily has them. I don't think that they're at mass market adoption yet either. So while they're becoming increasingly popular, I don't think they're not at a saturated market point. So that is still a way that you could improve by sustainability. It's always like a good thing to think about each product and think like, how could I make this, more sustainable? Like it may not be, the best in terms of sustainability, but it keeps sustainability and like functionality and design all in mind at the same time, I guess, would be the best way to put that.
Cool. Dog collar.
The dog collar that I initially somewhat thought was about. Okay, here's a different one. kind of similar to the skipping rope, but what if the dog collar was like a smartwatch for your dog, and then the dog collar could send you notifications being like your dog hasn't had enough steps this week and hasn't been out running or walking enough? Because I think that would be a huge thing for owners to be like, did someone walk the dog today? Did my partner, did a family member or my housemate? And has the dog been getting like generally enough exercise? So it could be cool to actually have like some sort of like accelerometer or like pedometer, I guess it would be for dogs. Pedometer. That was so hideous, horrible. So yeah, our pedometer. That would be a really handy thing that could like sync across and just like keep you on top of how much exercise your dog is doing and kind of guilt trip you into taking your dog for a walk, which is also very healthy for you too. So it helps the owner and the dog. Win-win.
That's really good idea. All right, slide helmet.
Someone will be ripping that one.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've gone into kind of like a lot of high tech, sort of like smart products as a whole. We could start to think about like sustainability and having more sustainability in mind when it comes to just helmet production as a whole. We could look into fibers that could be used that are like natural, like eucalyptus fiber, for example, or maybe like if old bikes were recycled, or like something that bikers already use, like their lycra ideally. Let's recycle all the lycra into a hard plastic to use. But yeah, no, I would just start to think about like a more sustainable sort of option for the helmet. So we could go more sustainable here. We could really go more sustainable in all of the products. Sustainability is always a great extra benefit, but I do think that it just should be considered in each product. Like consumers are increasingly educated. They do want something that's better for them and the planet at the same time. So you shouldn't necessarily think about sustainability as your entire unique value proposition. It just should be something that you are considering at each stage always of product development too. With this one, I would try to tie the sustainability, like I said, into something that like is bettering the planet in like a relevant way to bikers too. So I would start to be thinking about what we can make the plastic fiber from that like could be reused from the biking industry already, like offcuts of like bike seats or something, like all the waste that was going to happen. So that's kind of how I would think about the helmet. Just some little ideas to get the creative juices flowing. And last but not least, we've got our skipping rope or jump rope. So obviously, yeah, like I said, we've been going really high tech, and some products, obviously, yeah, there's less to reinvent from the wheel. It's kind of like with watches. We were kind of like, well, we couldn't necessarily reinvent the watch in terms of like, yes, it's got like, a round face. Maybe you could do like a square faced watch, like whatever. It's still like quite a similar sort of thing without going like into the smartwatch space. It was like, just about creating like a really accessible design that people would like love and is like on trend, so like a bit minimal meets a bit of classic. So this is for my brand, the Fifth Watches. But in the end, we ended up actually differentiating the watches through time, not by price. So we'd only sell them on the 5th of each month for 5 days. And so that created like a scarcity by demand sort of model. I'm not saying that would be right for a skipping rope, but I'm just saying that there are different ways outside of just differentiating, a product itself. But a skipping rope, the most obvious thing to me is this is a really basic, boring kind of rope. Like you could easily make it like a lot of a higher perceived value and be able to charge more per rope by having things like, like brass or metal sort of handles that were really beautiful, or like a black chrome for a more like unisex sort of look, or gold or rose gold or copper or brass sort of handle for maybe like might be a bit more feminine potentially. You could also think about, okay, this is an adult skipping rope. How could we make it more child friendly? You could have cute little things like little streamers coming out of the end, or so that when you skip, the rope lit up, which would just be a cute thing and more interesting and exciting for kids. So you can even differentiate via the market that you're selling the product to as well. So not thinking like, how can I change the adult skipping rope? Thinking like, who else could I sell a skipping rope to that, wouldn't usually be the same like demographic or market for that product. So that is how I would look into changing the skipping rope outside of our smart rope. So that's how I would start to think about differentiating products. If you want to learn some more of the basics around e-commerce, I do have a free e-commerce training where I go through my process in a lot of other areas, not just product differentiation, audience building, how to launch a product, how to find customers for your product, how to manufacture, set up a store. So if you're interested in checking that out, I can link through to the free masterclass in the description below this video. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, hope you're loving our videos and that you're getting heaps of value from them. If you are, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to join the Founder Fam. If you did enjoy this video and want to continue to master your skills, make sure you click here to access your free training now, where we'll go into way more depth with this founder.